What is up, fam? I'm Dr. Dale, and this is Permission to Be Great, the podcast where our mission is to help you walk in your greatness on a daily basis, right? So super excited about today's episode. Before I dive in, of course, I'm going to ask you to do me a huge favor. I'm going to ask you to hit that subscribe button. Trying to grow this podcast, trying to grow the YouTube channel, trying to grow the iTunes, all the podcasts, Spotify, all that stuff, right? If for those of you who are just listening, do know that there is a YouTube channel, so you can go check it out. You can see me talking, having a great time doing all this stuff. Okay, so please hit that subscribe button. You'll be doing me a huge favor. Comment. Some of you guys have been commenting, and it's been very what's the word? Rewarding, gratifying to me to read your comments and just for me to be able to reply back and say thank you. So if I don't say thank you, just forgive me. Unfortunately, I can't get to everything. But however, for those of you who are commenting, I really, 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 really do appreciate that. So thank you for commenting. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you for rocking with the show Permission to Be Great. All right. So again, goal here is to help you walk in your greatness on a daily basis. Today, I'm going to be talking about, the faith of the great. Faith leads to action. That's the general premise of today's episode. Faith leads to action, right? So the faith of the great, you can say the fate of the great, but we're not going to go down that route, kind of, right? Where we're before the fate of the great. It's the faith with a TH at the end of the great. All right. Really, really important topic. This is a very important topic. And as I go through the episode, you'll understand why. The general idea here is in order for you to get to that level of greatness that you're looking to be at in your life, you've got to have faith, right? You've got to have faith. You have to. It's mandatory. It's like, maybe no, you have to. This is essential. You have to have faith first, and it's not going to work, right? And when I say faith, I'm going to explain to you more what I mean here in a second, right? But it's not just faith. Faith in action, right? You've got to act. That's what's key about this thing, right? We're gonna dive and dissect it. I've got my notes over here. Reminder: if you're somebody who's really, really trying to grow with us, right? I'm trying to grow on this podcast, from not just my wisdom, but all this stuff, the stuff that I've taken in from people who've coached me, mentored me, my parents, right, my loved ones, all the books I've got over there and behind me, right? A lot of wisdom that I'm bringing in strategically given to you all, so you all can grow, walk in that greatness on a daily basis. All right, so I've got 4 things I want to talk to you guys about today in this, right? So we're talking about the power of faith, putting your faith into action. The first thing is I want you guys to understand that there's a difference between believe and believe in. Believe and believe in, right? This is of critical importance for you to take a moment, sit back and really get your mind wrapped around this thing, right? So anybody can believe something is true. Anybody can believe something is true, right? I can believe that this is a pen, right? But to believe in something is completely different. To believe in something is different from believing something, right? So I can believe this is a pen, but if I believe in this, then I'm putting some sort of faith in this, saying this can do something, right? There's action behind that. And it's going to be action on my part to show that I believe in that. Perfect example. I know I go to the Bible a lot. Again, I'm not a biblical scholar, but this is where I find my truth in life, right? There's a verse in the Bible, I believe it's in the book of James. It talks about even the devil believes in Jesus. Not believes in Jesus, but even the devil believes that Jesus is real. So, right, the devil believes that Jesus exists. But here's the kicker. The devil doesn't believe in Jesus as his savior, right? That's a different thing. The devil believes Jesus is real, but the devil does not believe in Jesus as his savior. This is important to understand because when you start talking about believing in something, believing in someone, that's faith. There's an element of faith in that, right? And that's what I'm talking about. You have to have that element of faith, right? Why is this important to you on a personal basis? Because in order for you to go off and pursue the things you want in life and become great, you have permission to be great. But for you to get to that greatness, you have to believe in your ability to do that. So that means you have to have faith in your ability to do that. Yeah, it's one thing for you to believe that this is true. Okay, I believe that I can be a great doctor, right? I believe that. But for me to believe in that, for me to have the faith of that, is critical because that's what leads to the action. That's what leads me to go off and start doing things, right? Yeah, you can believe something all you want, but when you really believe in it, meaning when you have that faith in it, that's when you get the action. That's when you get the action. This is the second thing I want to talk to you about, is that action that leads to results. So believing in something, we're talking about getting to your faith, right? You have faith. You have faith in something. There's faith there. Once you have that faith, the faith leads to action. And action leads to results. And results are necessary for greatness. You sticking with me here? All right, stick with me on this, okay? Faith leads to action. Action leads to results. Results lead to the opportunity for greatness. You've got to have that faith. Without that faith, nothing else down the line comes. Nothing else down the line comes, right? That's of critical importance, okay? And talking about this idea of faith leading to action, I want you all to take a moment and think about it in your lives, right? Take a moment to reflect on this for your own self, right? Were there times where you did not act, right? Where you knew something was the right thing to do, but you did not act? There's got to be a time. I'm sure I've got times where it's like, I know this is the way to go. This is the way I should do, but you don't act. Ask yourself, why didn't you act in that particular situation? There are a lot of reasons, a variety of reasons why somebody might not act. One reason that they might not act is because they don't have that faith. They don't truly believe that they are capable, that they can do it. And that's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand when I talk about you have permission to be great, is that you can do it, right? You have to believe in yourself. I ask the question all the time when I go speak across the country. I say, how many people need to believe in you for you to be successful? The answer is one, just you, only you. So as long as you have that faith that you can do it, then you can start acting, right? There's a verse from the Bible, and it's from James 2:18. I won't quote it verbatim, but from James 2:18, essentially the idea behind it is you may say that you have faith, right? And I'll tell you, hey, show me your faith, right? I will show you my faith by my works, right? You tell me you have faith, right? But I'm going to show you my faith by my works. As a matter of fact, let me not do this too much injustice. Let me actually pull this verse up really, really quick, and I'll just read it to you guys because I do believe it's that important to understand this verse really fast. So it's James 2:18. And the verse reads, and I'm not sure what version this is, but a man may say, thou hast faith. It's probably King James using the word thous and such. A man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. Are you following this? Are you getting this? Show me your faith without your works. So tell me you have faith. You can tell me you have faith all day. I'm going to say, show me your faith without your works. You can tell me you have faith all day, but if you don't have works, show me that. How am I to believe you? How can I believe you? Right? You say, oh, Dr. Dale, yeah, man, I've got all sorts of faith. I got faith in this. I got faith in that. I've got faith in that. Well, show me what you've done. Show me what you've done with all that faith that you have. On the other hand, I don't have to tell you that I have faith. I don't have to say a word. This is what the verse is referring to here. Right? I don't have to tell you, say a word. You can just look at my body of work and see that I have faith to go out and do it. Right? I hope you guys are following me on this. Not even following me. I hope you guys are following that passage on this. Right? That is critical importance. So what's that really saying? That's saying one way to test yourself to see if you truly have faith in something is to look at what you've done. Right? Look at what you've done. Right now, you can take a moment, stop, and reflect on your past. Look at what you've done in your life. The things that you have done are evidence for the faith that you had. The things you have done are evidence for the faith that you have. If you look at your body of work, stuff you've done in life, and you say, man, I haven't accomplished anything that I wanted to do, then that means at some point there was probably faith lacking, right? Or something was lacking. It's possible that it was faith lacking in the ability to go out and do that, right? I love things, right? You think about so many things in life when people demonstrate your faith by just going out and acting. You think about even in the Bible, right? Moses, parting the Red Sea. To part the Red Sea, you had to get in there and put that rod in the water. Right? It's not like Moses was way back there saying, water, God, help the water part from way back here, right? He had to demonstrate faith first. How did he demonstrate the faith? By walking to the water. By walking to the water, boom, putting it in there, the Red Sea parts, right? And that's the way this thing works. Action is evidence of the faith. If you say, I really believe in this, but you're not doing anything, I can't believe that you actually have faith. Right. And remember, if you don't have that action, you're not going to yield the results. And if you don't yield the results, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to get to that level of greatness that you are pursuing in your life. This idea of action, right? Again, remember, we're talking about faith in action. This idea of action, what a lot of people end up getting, stuck with is analysis paralysis. And I'm going to take a moment here just to talk to you about this because I don't want you to get stuck in this phase of on your journey to greatness. a lot of people just will trick themselves into thinking, okay, let me think this thing through. Let me think this through, right? Before I go out there and act, I want to think this through. And I do a lot of stuff and talk to a lot of people about decision making, and I see this happen over and over and over and over again. Like, yeah, I just got to take a couple of days to think about it some more. I don't want to make a decision yet. I never want to make a quick decision. I remember one thing my mother told me when I was young. I went to an event with her. It was actually the owner of the Houston Rockets, Fertitti. I think that's how you say his name. We went to an event that they had at his house for her job, and that always stuck with me. But then she told me something that her boss had told her. He said, people that do really, really well in life are people that make quick decisions, and they make decisions early in life when they're young. And all the leadership books I read continuously, these books will so often say that people who do really, really well and reach those levels of greatness that you're pursuing are people that know how to make quick decisions, right? And they make decisions, they think about it beforehand, but they don't belabor it, they don't get in this analysis paralysis stage. They think about the decision, then they make the decision. After the decision is made, they go with it. Now, they might have to pivot, something might happen, they might have to change it, but they're decisive people in life. Now, one of the first leadership books I read, I remember it was a book I got it from my father-in-law by Colin Powell. It's like something about leadership lessons or something like 21 lessons of leadership from Colin Powell. And that's one of the things that stuck with me. I don't remember much from that book, but I remember that one thing. He says before he makes a decision, he takes in all the input from different people. He thinks about it, right? So it takes enough time, but not too much time to make a decision. And after he makes that decision, he's decisive with it and he goes. On your journey to greatness, you cannot get stuck in this analysis paralysis, which means you're thinking, you make a decision, you go back and change it, make a decision, go back and change it. Now, there will be pivots, right? There will be pivots. I'm somebody, they joke with me sometimes at work. I'm a lung doctor, right? An ICU doctor. So one of the things I do is I do a procedure called bronchoscopy where we take a camera, go look in people's lungs, take biopsies, do all sorts of cool stuff in people's lungs. And sometimes I'll do a procedure, then I'll have them keep changing my equipment, say, go to this, go to this, go to that, go to that. It's not because I'm indecisive. It's because things are happening along the journey and things need to change in order for the sake of the patient. So things like that are okay, right? If you're doing something and you're seeing the path change and you have to make adjustments, that's fine, right? But don't get stuck in this thing where you just can't make a decision and you keep changing it and you're waffling, because what that leads to is inaction. That leads to inaction. If you cannot be decisive, then you will not be able to go out there and act or do things. Indecisiveness leads to inaction. I'm going to say it again. Indecisiveness leads to inaction. So don't get stuck in this analysis paralysis thing. All right. And the fourth thing that I want to talk to you guys about is this idea of just do it, right? Just do something. I remember, and I kind of don't like doing this one because I know it's Nike and I don't want to be like I'm biting off of Nike, but that saying that Nike has, just do it. Sometimes I found that to be the right thing in my life for me, right? Sometimes the right thing to do is just do it. Stop thinking about it and just do it. Just act, right? Stop overthinking stuff. Just go out there and just act. Just do it. I run across this a lot when I'm typing up emails. I might be typing up a sensitive email or something that I'm a little bit hesitant to do. And I'm typing, I want to just keep on going over. After a while, I just just say, forget it in my mind. I just hit send. I don't think about it anymore. I walk away. I forget about it. I don't think about it. This is really important. So I've seen enough people die. I'm not acting like I'm old and the wisest person in the world, but I've seen enough people die just by nature of my profession. ICU doctor. So I've seen enough people die. And one thing I've come to learn, and I'm very comfortable with this concept now, is a lot of what we do that we struggle over so much in our mind, and it's so complicated, so hard for us. A lot of this stuff really doesn't matter that much. A lot of it, we put way too much value into it. It doesn't really matter that much. I've seen enough people on their deathbed and had the opportunity to get an idea as to what's important for them at the end of the day, right? And a lot of the things that we struggle with, that we worry about, we get so anxious about, they don't really matter that much. And it's really important to understand that, because once you come to the realization of, end of the day, this is just a vapor in the grand timeline of existence, right? This decision I'm going to make at the end of the day is not as big of a deal as I think it is. Once you come to that realization, you can start doing a whole lot more things. You can start getting your reps up. You can start just trying stuff, just getting stuff out there, right? I'm not going to say just throw a million things out there and see what sticks, but in a sense, try stuff, and then get a sense as to what's working. Then you get a sense as to what's meaningful to you. And then once you start to feel those things out, once you start to narrow that purpose and see how you can make what you're doing in alignment with God's purpose, then you're able to just become a whole lot more productive in life, right? But you have to just do it. I read 50 Cent has a book, I forgot, the 50 Laws of Power. He wrote it with somebody who wrote a book like that in the past, and they wrote it together. And he said the same thing. That was one of his like laws of power or something. Was he says just do, and then he throws S word in there. I don't cuss, so I'm not gonna rephrase that, state that for you guys. But he says just essentially just do it, right? Which means at times, sometimes you don't know what to do. Just do something. I'll say it that way. Just do something, right? Just do something. Don't get caught being stagnant in life. Do not get caught being stagnant in life. I'm just going to be real with you guys. My wife, I mean, she'll be the first one to tell you, one of my biggest pet peeves, something that frustrates me like crazy, is people being lazy. I don't get along with lazy. You like, I cannot do lazy. I cannot do excuses, and I cannot do lazy. Those are two things in life that my wife will tell you will get under my skin, right? So when people are just doing a whole bunch of nothing, or when people are being stagnant in life and just okay with that, and there's nothing wrong with being content. You should be content in life, but that's not the same thing as being lazy, right? That gets under my skin so much, and I can't stand it. I'm of the mindset that you should always be doing something, not meaning wear yourself out and run yourself down. But and I'm not saying don't rest, don't take breaks. That's not what I'm saying. But the mindset that you should always be, working towards your growth somehow, working towards your relationship with God, working towards your journey to that greatness. You should always be in pursuit of something and always be doing something. And resting is part of that. But lazy is not. Resting is part of that, but lazy is not part of that. So just do something, right? Because no matter what it is you do, if you do something, that means that you have faith enough to do that thing, right? And as you see some success behind that, it's going to increase your faith. As your faith continues to increase, you're going to be bold enough to do bigger and bigger and bigger things. As your faith goes up, the things you do is going to go up. I remember when I started doing some stuff, just a little stuff with business. I'm not going to dive into money stuff too much, but I remember back when spending $100 on something was a lot for me in business, then $1,000, and then it became 5 figures and 6 figures, right? And it's because as your faith increases and as you see success, you get more faith, and then more success, more faith, more success, more faith, more success, and that's how it works. And sometimes you get knocked off your horse. Sometimes something bad happens, but that's okay, because you've already had enough faith built up, and you've already had enough skill set, you've already had enough wisdom, all that built up, that you can go back and start over and do it again. One of the things I love is sometimes you hear these business folks, they'll tell you how people, you look at them and you say, wow, these people have done very well in business, but you go sit down and talk to them, they'll tell you how they lost everything at one point in time. Like, yeah, I was broke, I lost everything, I lost millions and millions. They'll tell you that. And they say, but getting it back, I knew how to get it back, right? Because they have faith in your ability to get it back, because they had acted throughout the past. And because they acted, that faith grew. When that faith grew, the success came along with it. So just do something. There's a book that's on my bookshelf back here somewhere. It's by I forgot his name. I'm forgetting everything with my books. I think it's Robert Thomas, maybe. Him and his brother were some media giants, right? I think you're from the St. Louis area. And there's a book that he wrote called Action Has No Season. Action has no season. That general idea of that is so simple. There's no season for action. Action is all the time, meaning you should always be acting. You should always be doing stuff, right? It's not like, oh, I'm going to take a break now, or, this is my season to do nothing. Yeah, there's a time to rest, and recuperate, rehab, all that stuff. But even that's part of your action on your journey for your great grandiose plan, right? So just do something, because when you're doing something, what that's doing is that's demonstrating your faith. And as that faith grows, I believe the success grows. And all this, everything I've said so far, I'm about to bring this home, right? I'm about to bring this episode to a wrap, so close. Everything I've said so far, I haven't even mentioned what happens when that faith is backed by God. I haven't even mentioned that, right? So I'm just talking about you just getting in the idea of believing that, hey, God's given me enough to be able to go out there and make this happen. But I haven't even talked about what happens when you produce it, and then God may or may not. I don't know. I'm not saying God will, but what happens if God does grant you that favor and can turn that little idea and that little thing you thought you had and blow it up, right? Just think about the young boy with the bread and the fish loaves. right? You got a couple fish, couple bread, all these people, how are we going to feed all these people? It's not enough, right? It's not enough, right? But there was faith behind that, and it fed all these people, right? So many times, not even from the Bible, so many things in real life, like so many examples I could give you in real life of when a little seemingly small little action, right? A tiny little action, something that took maybe a little bit of faith, right? A mustard seed of faith, a mustard seed of faith blows up and does massive, great, amazing things. That's the way this thing works, right? Mustard seed of faith can move mountains. So just do something, because in doing something, what you're doing is you're demonstrating that you have faith. Believe in means you have faith. Faith leads to action. Action leads to results. Enough good results leads to greatness. Hope you guys follow that, man. That's something that's over the years has really, really been close to my heart. This idea of just keep doing stuff, right? And let me add this also. Don't worry about what other people think too much. One thing I've said this before, I think on social media, sometimes my son will look at my oldest son will look at like one of my social media pages. He has an Instagram account, but he doesn't control it, right? It's all I control all that stuff. I think that's just the way I believe. I believe that kids, should be controlled. So I control his Instagram account, but every now and then he'll grab my phone so he can look at it and just check something. Or if I tell him something happened, he'll go check it, right? And then he'll be looking at my account, I'll be like, Daddy, you put this post up. The post only has X amount of views, likes, or whatever. And he says it in a way where I think he assumes that I'm going to care how many likes or something that it gets. I have to explain to him, son, I couldn't care less how many likes it gets, because that's not the purpose of why I make it. Right. That's not the purpose of why I make it. I was telling him yesterday, I put something up recently, or I put a few stuff up recently, and they didn't get very many likes or whatever. But the funny thing is, I got a lot of messages from people, right? So I see people, and the people are messaging me on the phone, like text, different things like that. And they're saying, thank you for this, thank you for that, thank you for that. And then I told son, see, this is what happens if you focus on if you focus on just what everybody else tells you is the way to go. All these people that are messaging may not have got that blessing from it. If I would say, oh man, I didn't get very many likes, I'm going to stop posting or whatever, right? The people who really got something from it, who didn't like it, but they send private personal messages, like, deep stuff sometimes, right? I get messages by people, some deep stuff. Those people getting blessings. So I say all this to say that whenever you're doing things, understand the purpose behind what you're doing. Understand your goal of doing it before you go out there and actually do it. Because if you understand your goal as to why you're doing something, you can ignore all the other, fake metrics for success. If you understand your goal, why you do something, you know what the real metric of success is for what you're trying to do. It makes it easy for you to keep on going, because all the other stuff is just, it's just noise. It's just noise. And it makes it easier to ignore all the noise if you know what your goal for success is. And as long as you know that, as long as you're moving towards that particular goal of success, that faith builds up. And when that faith builds up, your doing builds up, right? Your action builds up, your results build up, and that moves you towards greatness. So get to the point where you stop caring about what other people think so much. That's really important. And shout out to one of my great friends and mentor, John Boaz. That's something he taught me some years ago also. Is I really stop caring about what other people think, because other people ain't paying my bills. Other people aren't paying your bills. So don't worry about what other people think. If they are paying your bills, that's a different question, right? But other people aren't paying your bills. So stop worrying about what the other people think. And when I say that, of course, I mean, you want to be nice to people. You don't want to be a jerk to people. I'm talking about in the fact of stop letting other people validate who you are as a person. That's just dumb. Why would I ever care what somebody else thinks about me as a person, assuming that I have in my heart the best interest for serving, for loving, things of that sort, right? So wrap your head around that and really figure that out, because that is a huge barrier in people's lives to action and that faith to go out and do something. All right, guys, this is Permission to Be Great, man. Thank you guys so much for listening again. Guess what I'm going to ask you to do? I'm going to ask you to hit that subscribe button, right? I want to grow the audience. and really want to get this out to reach as many people as possible, right? I want to touch lives. I want to help you guys walk in your greatness on a daily basis. I want you guys to be equipped on the job, right? To go out there and just really kill it. I want you to be equipped in your marriage. I want you to be equipped in your parental journey. I want you to be equipped as a child. I want you to be equipped in everything you do, because these concepts aren't limited to one thing. These concepts are life concepts, right? And I always want to do my best to make sure that they're biblically sound. I'm not a Bible scholar, so I'll do my best, but I'm not a Bible scholar, right? I stay in communion with your church, all that stuff. I'm not a Bible scholar, but I want to make sure that they're biblically found, that biblically sound, and I really just want to walk with you on this journey. And if that's happening, then that's my definition of success. And as long as that's happening, I'll plan to keep on doing, and my faith will keep on growing. Hey, let me remind you guys that you do have permission to be great. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm praying for you guys, and I love you.